There's a lot of collaterals available out there. A lot of these collaterals are in our scriptures, our holy books. For example, you take the Quran, you take the Bible, you take the Bhagavad Gita. It's actually anecdotes and examples of people who have lived in a previous age, who have gone through circumstances much worse than ours, and they have fallen back for guidance to prophets. And in this case, Arjuna goes to Krishna because Krishna is an authority. Now, the mood with which we go to the person for help is extremely important. You don't become subservient to that person, but you go with humility and you present, this is what I'm facing. I've come to you for help. I've come to you for guidance. Please guide me how I should approach this problem or how I can resolve this problem. So either you go to texts, articles, so many articles out there. Today the internet is available to everybody. In fact, the internet is information overload. So to sift through the internet to find out what are the kosher sources of information is very important.
The actual thing.
Exactly, because when you, let's say, type a keyword, you'll get a million hits. Now, which hit is the most important? The danger on the internet is that, some guy with very weak content has done great SEO for his website, so his hits will come very high up in the rankings.
Yeah.
But just because it's high up in the rankings doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right source. Or when you go to a friend, a relative, an uncle, an aunt. Now go back to the old days. We lived in what we call joint families.
Yeah.
Brothers, sisters, cousins, they all lived together in the same house. And there was always one special aunt or uncle or cousin that we were close to. So because you don't want to say this in front of everybody and look like an idiot, quietly go, you know what, I have this problem. Can I please talk to you? You found confidence and comfort in talking to that person. So you find the right kind of person to go and seek advice from. Seeking advice is the best possible thing to do. Because if you are not yet self-aware, for you to get to the root of the problem is difficult. In spite of having worked on, I lived on 4 continents, traveled to like 40 odd countries, large organizations, small organizations. Very often I'm compelled to take very, very tough decisions. I'm very clear in my mind that I need to do this, but at the end of it, I'll use somebody as a sounding board just to validate my thoughts because I may have missed something.
You used NLP in your context right now.
Yes, absolutely.
But
I used it, but I already knew what I wanted to do, but I was still not 100% sure, thinking that I've left a gap somewhere. So let me go and run this past somebody, and that person will ask you one pointed question and you realize, oh damn, I didn't think about this consequence. And then you go back and reframe your question or your suggestion or your solution, and now all your bases are covered and you can take the right decision.
You told a lot of things about Krishna. What was Krishna's responses on NLP?
Krishna used every possible technique. First, he scolded Arjuna. So he says something which is very, very hard. And to say to a person who is a Maharathi, great warrior, Rath is chariot, great warrior, he tells him, how has this degrading impotence come upon you? He calls him impotent, that you can't do something. How has this degrading impotence come upon you? Where has this petty weakness come upon you? First he blasts him. Then slowly he changes. So he covers all bases. First he slaps him in the face with this very hard words. Then he says, Arjuna, you're already self-realized. How come you don't see the reality? How come you aren't able to take this decision? Now he's saying that you're a great man. Why are you not able to act? So first he slapped him, then he's coaxed him, then he's cajoled him, and then he's praised him. You're the greatest warrior on the face of the planet. Just act.
So first he brought him down, then he brought him in the center, then he brought him up.
You know what is the code of the Marines, right? The American Marines. When anybody joins the Marines, you know what is the first thing they do? Because to get into the Marines, you're supposed to be great, physically fit. So what do those staff sergeants do? They smash that guy and they reduce him to nothing. They just kill his ego completely and then they lift him up and make him into the Marine that he is. They're supposed to be elite warriors, right? But they smash them completely first. So all their indoctrination, all their ego, everything is now thrown out of the window through the training. Give me 200 push-ups. In the rain, in the heat, run 20 more laps, run another 10 kilometers. So you can imagine, now this guy again is a great warrior. He's a Marine under training. To be selected as a Marine, he's a great guy, but he's intelligent and he's physically fit. But they smash him. That's exactly what Krishna does.
Guys, it's 4 articles and I can hardly tell you, just we have covered 50% of, not 50%, less than that.
Not
right?
even.
Not even 50%. Please do read the articles Sumir has published. It's gonna help you a lot in life. What decisions you take, how you're gonna speak up, how you're gonna communicate with other people.
Correct. If this is only 25% of the articles, all 4 articles are probably not even 10% of NLP as a topic. So I'm still writing
I know basically how many articles is it?
and I'm still studying.
And guys, Sumir is just 61 years. Seriously, I have not come up with any person at his age. I've seen a lot of people at the age of 61 just like to sit back, chill, relax, get the pension.
I can't chill, I can't relax, I'm wired.
So do like, subscribe, and hit the bell button.
Absolutely.
So
I'm going to add one more thing. So when Arjuna actually went to Krishna, so what does Arjuna do? Let's talk about that. We said what Krishna does. What does Arjuna do? How does it get to that stage? So it's a constant discussion. Arjuna says, oh, I can't fight. His bow slips from his hand. I'm weak at the knees. My temperature is rising. My mouth has gone dry.
he finds a lot of excuses.
A lot of excuses. He rationalizes in his mind. And, there's a whole list of things which you can read in the article. I won't go through it. It will take too long. So there's Arjuna saying one thing and Krishna responding. There's Arjuna saying one thing, Krishna responding. So every so-called logical, inverted commas, frivolous excuse or justification that Arjuna gives, Krishna smashes down.
Can you give a few examples? So we
I will. So for example, how has this impotence come upon you? Where has this petty weakness come from? You're already so educated. How can't you think? I am telling you to do this. He says karma. I will kill so many people. I'll have the deaths of so many people on my hand. He says they are destined to die. They've done the wrong thing. You're supposed to defend. You're supposed to be a righteous ruler. What is your end game? Your end game is to be a righteous ruler, to make sure that the kingdom prospers. So to help us in understanding why Arjuna should have done what he was supposed to do, I'll ask you a question. Not many people get this answer right. Very, very few. What is the first duty of a king?
To take care of his kingdom, not lose his borders of his kingdom.
Take care of his throne. Because if he doesn't have a throne, he doesn't have a kingdom. If he doesn't have a kingdom, he doesn't have people. So the greater common good is the people, but without the throne, it's all useless. So what Krishna is telling him, you need to get your throne back. If you want the general population to prosper, your kingdom to prosper, your praja, your public to be very successful, you need a throne. Without a throne, you're going to get nothing. So fight, get back your throne, because you've got the general population in mind. You're not being selfish. You may not want the wealth. You may not want the kingdom. But you come from a line of rulers who have been just and kind and made their kingdoms prosper. You are destined to fight. You don't have a choice. Because if you don't do this, you will be the biggest coward on the face of the planet. People will forget about all the battles that you won and say that you ran away from the battle. You could not face your enemies. You were a coward. So look at how he's hitting him. Look at how he's hitting. Now, Arjuna finally comes to a point of submission. He says, I've heard all your arguments. I understand what you're saying. But now, I surrender to you as my teacher. Says, we've been friends. When we were children, we've played together. I've made you carry me on your back while we were playing games. But I realize you're the master. Now I submit to you. Please guide me and tell me what I should be doing. And what is Krishna's reply? Stand and fight. He doesn't spare him. So all of these arguments, discussions, debates is all fine. But you gotta fight. You have no other choice. And that's when he starts blowing his conch shell and the battle begins. And they lose people on both sides. There's so much tragedy. There's so much bloodshed. At the end of it, the right thing is done.
Can you tell me this ending? What happens?
So the ending now is very interesting again. So Bhishma is their teacher. He is known as the grandsire. He's taught these kids. Bhishma had taken an oath to always be loyal to the throne, not to the king. So no matter who sat on the throne, he would fight on that behalf. So Bhishma, because he's defending the throne, goes on the side of the wicked people. Arjuna is now fighting with an uncle or a grandsire who's taught him. He's played in his lap. Now he's got to kill him. And Arjuna does kill him. He fires a whole bunch of arrows. And then you know what he does? Because he's a warrior. He gives him a befitting bed. He fires a whole bunch of arrows in his back so he can lay down over there on the battlefield. And because they were people that had such immense control over their senses and pain, he doesn't die yet. So Yudhishthir, who is Arjuna's elder brother, goes to him there and he says, now teach me everything I need to know about ruling my kingdom. And on his deathbed, Bhishma gives him what is known as art of politics. And after that teaching session, he says, now I want to drink Ganga Jal because, Hindus or people who follow Sanatan Dharma, you have Ganga Jal. That's pure water, which helps you to go to the heavenly planets. So he fires the arrow into the ground and Ganga comes into his mouth and then he breathes his last. And then they take over the kingdom and they begin the process of reconstruction. So coming back very quickly, what Arjuna did not contend with. He thought Krishna will be an easy one to convince, but he never realized how hard a taskmaster Krishna is really going to be. He's overwhelmed. These are the harsh truths that I am being told about myself. So when you go to somebody for guidance, be prepared to hear the harsh truth and be man enough or woman enough to face the hard facts.
And what was Krishna's actions, motivations, and techniques?
And Krishna, as I said, is the charioteer.
Yeah.
And the charioteer's job is to make sure that he helps the warrior navigate the battlefield in such a way that he's away from harm and he can actually concentrate on fight rather than dodging arrows and this and that and the other and warriors. So that is Krishna's role. So if you abstract that, Krishna's role is that of a guide, a mentor, a teacher. Now, what is Krishna's motivation behind all of the role that he plays? He wants to make sure that the right people are sitting on the throne. So he says that I'm here to guide you, I'm here to drive your chariot, I'm here to help you navigate the battlefield, but I'm also here to help you navigate the battles in your mind. So that is Krishna's motivation. The techniques are standard NLP techniques.
Yes.
Observation. He observes Arjuna. Dryness of mouth, shivering legs, bodily temperature, face is ashen. He's afraid to take that step. So Krishna observes all of this. Verbal and physical observation, correct? Sensory perception. And he observes Arjuna, how he looks, how he feels, and how he's speaking, the words he's using. And he uses that to formulate a plan to get him to act. I'm going to read some of the things that Krishna says, the way he says it.
Okay.
So he says, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudana, Krishna, spoke the following words. I'll just read a couple of them. My dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to the higher planets but to infamy. You will become infamous. O son of Pritha, do not yield to this degrading impotence. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy. You're supposed to put the enemy in his place. Be a chastiser of the enemy. Put them in their place. Fight with them. O descendant of Bharata. At that time, Krishna, smiling in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. While speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. They are aggressors. They are cheaters. They are eating your kingdom. They are going to make your population suffer. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. So while speaking learned words, as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. He's going to die. He's destined to die. How many years he lives is not in your control. What is not in your control, just leave that aside. Then he says something even more beautiful. Son of Kunti, Arjuna's mother, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. Winter and summer will come and go. They arise from sense perception and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. What do you do in the winter? You wear warm clothes and withstand the winter. What do you do in summer? You wear clothes that are very light and they don't absorb too much heat and sun. So these are the kind of things he tells him. Very philosophical, but it's guiding him one by one by one.